What is up, sexy people of the internet? It is Dave, it is Duncan, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from Metalcore Bruisers, Your Spirit Dies. The band's new album, My Gnawing Pains Will Never Rest, is out on May 2nd via MNRK Heavy. Okay, the record encapsulates every single thing we're about. Notes Brandon Byers, vocalist of the band. We're five people who were born in small towns in the south. We were never supposed to leave these places. We were supposed to live and die here. We're surrounded by a lot of dark, but also beautiful history. For us, the simple fact we're doing this is huge. We tried to craft an album that stands on its own, and we busted our asses to make it as different as we possibly could. A few band members each cut their teeth in other regional favourites, with Brandon and Holden in Remembrance, Tyler in Hopesick, Keegan in Soul Press, while Brannon does double duty on drums in Moru. Your Spirit Dies arrived in 2020 with their debut EP, The Process of Grief. 2 years later, they accelerated their ascent with the follow-up EP, Our Saints Drown in Ash. Signing to MNRK, the musicians crafted what would become My Gnawing Pains Will Never Rest in Connecticut alongside producer Greg Thomas of End and X Misery Signals. The guys not only leaned into influences as diverse as At the Gates, Killswitch Engage, Napalm Death and Godflesh, but they also culled inspiration from giallo horror classics a la The Beyond. Samples from the latter were even woven into the fabric of the soundscape alongside the screams of Mia Goth from Maxine. Greg has been around the metalcore and hardcore scenes for a long time, and he understands what we're trying to do. Brandon goes on. He pushed us to dig deeper into the bands who inspired the scene, like At the Gates. Plus, he's a crazy movie buff. Every night we'd watch some fucking weird 70s giallo film, which created a cool aesthetic.
I like the cut in this guy's gym, by the way.
Lyrically, there are a lot of religious themes, Brandon reveals. I lived in a Southern Baptist home for my entire life. Early on, I knew it was something I wasn't interested in. The title, My Gnawing Pains Will Never Rest, is a line from the book of Job. The whole book is about God giving Job all of these trials and messing him up pretty badly. This band has gotten me through a lot. Before Your Spirit Dies, I had quit my old band and dropped out of music for 2 years. I was battling demons at home. Mike kept calling me and saying, you need to play music again, and I'm glad I did because it saved my life. I hope you can hear all of the pain, suffering, and healing that went into it. My Gnawing Pains Will Never Rest was produced by Greg Thomas, mixed by Greg Thomas and Chris Tetty, and mastered by Will Putney.
Oh, the Putney.
The album also features Dan of Zale on the track Serpentine, Blythe of No Cure on A Snow and Summer, and Carson Pace of the Callous Cowboys on Night Pierces My Bones. Alright, so hadn't heard of this band before, but a few things did pique the old interest, Duncan. Firstly, MNRK Heavy.
Yep.
Great roster, very consistent with the quality they put out. Secondly, there was a couple of the kind of influences or bands mentioned in the press release. I was like, okay, I'm surprised I've never heard of this band before, even though they've had 2 EPs out. Lastly, the PR person behind this one she has very good taste, Duncan, and generally never puts her name to something that sucks.
Did she also deliberately use the word giallo just to get me in? Is that literally? She's like, this is the only way we can get these handsome young Scottish bastards to review this, is by throwing in the specific subgenre of horror thriller cinema.
Yeah.
That the more eloquent of the two. That's right. I was going to say well endowed, but time will out on that one. Yeah, you mentioned.
Every time there's a penis mentioned and something that Lisa's involved in, it's just...
Had to do it. She. I'm just gonna say she may keep sending things to us just purely because she wants to hear us talk about our dicks. like you mentioned the Beyond, you have my interest, Philip. I don't read the PR. Sorry, Lisa. You spend a lot of time penning it. I don't read it. I go in blind, and that's the way I like it. But the Beyond to me is my favourite of the three of the Gates of Hell trilogy from Lucio Fulci, because it's fucking incredible. So the fact that they're directly referencing it in here makes me happy. And you know what they say, if it makes you happy, Dave, it can't be that bad. And if it does make you happy, then why the hell are you so sad? I don't know. That's just for Lisa. Okay. So yeah, like yes, like you've mentioned all this stuff. Everything's coming up. Metal Epidemic.
Yeah. She's got Duncan in, and then she was like, wait a minute, Dave fucking loves Misery Signals. Let's get that in there somewhere, Misery Signals.
I love this idea that the band have none of this at all. She's just filtering it.
Yeah.
This is how I get every different outlet gets a slightly tailored PR. That's why she's so busy. She's writing them specifically for each site. But less about Lisa, more about Your Spirit Dies.
Yes. I did a wee deep dive, Duncan.
She did.
A wee deep dive into the band's previous two EPs from 2020 and 2022. They were cool. Quite enjoyed them. You could hear the band, the kind of development of the band getting bigger over those two EPs, and them kind of gradually starting to take a little bit more risk, especially on the second EP. It was probably my favourite of the two. Had more kind of moments that kind of like stuck with me after. I think moving into the debut album though, they've kind of squeezed those creative juices just a little bit more on this one. I feel like the EPs tended to stick within kind of like metalcore, hardcore, that type of realm for the most part, with a couple of small flourishes of something heavier. But on My Gnawing Pains Will Never Rest, they've decided to lean into those heavier elements a bit more, and you can hear that from the kind of outset on this album. Like when this kicked in, the guitars are like very metallic, very very chaotic. You know, the riffs on that first track, Trenches of Pain, they come at you with this really like frantic energy, and like instantly I just got this kind of like vision of just guitars being thrown around like in all sorts of ways. That first minute was just like, oh wait a minute.
Like, images of like the fucking, was it New England Death Fest or whatever the name of that, like where every single band, like you didn't want to be a roadie on that fucking that festival, because chances are you did have at least 3 or 4 lacerations on your body from
you're just
guitar swinging,
fixing guitars by the side of the stage.
I keep telling you, see if you just would stop swinging it wouldn't take me fucking 5 minutes to tune it.
And then like out of nowhere comes these really slow, like dissonant, fucking ugly, disgusting riffs, really like slow, chuggy. In these moments I was like, oh wait a minute, now we're going back to like late 90s, early 2000s. I'm getting like flashbacks of Blood Has Been Shed, and
Blood Has Been Shed is the one that, like, to me I was like that, like we were literally talking about last week, why don't more bands sound like Blood Has Been Shed? And it's like the universe was like, I gift thee upon you, and you're like, oh thank you. Yeah,
getting like loads of that, bits of like Old Poison the Well, Glass Casket as well. Actually, there was little bits where maybe not quite as like techie as this band, but like on a similar level of intensity, but a little bit of like the Red Chord as well.
Oh god, yeah.
And that was like track 1. I was one track in. I was like, oh my god, like this is 2 minutes.
Dave undressed, then redressed into his comfy clothes. Sat in his armchair and was like, oh, we're gonna got the tissues out.
The plastic sheets, Duncan, the plastic sheets.
Like that. We need to spend a bit of time with this.
Let's get the baby oil out. Yeah, I like after track 1, I was like, okay, sign me up for the rest. Like I'm ready to go. But what I found was quite interesting about this is that the shift they've made from those EPs to this is quite a jump. Like the songwriting for like firstly has leveled up massively on this release. It's way more attention grabbing like than either of those two EPs. And And that shows even more on like track 2 when they kick into Serpentine on track 2. It has these like kind of poison the well, kind of clean chords that's kind of like intermittently woven through all this kind of chaos, which was really cool because it gave a nice bit of kind of separation from that opener. And then about halfway through, they piggyback on that kind of melody and transition into an almost kind of like at the gates type kind of mellow death. And it doesn't go on for too long. It's only like 30 seconds worth, but it's a great switch in the track. And it allows the second half of the track to be even kind of heavier, like coming off that kind of dark kind of melody of the Melodeath. And it just opens the door like even more to obviously add in a little bit more of Melodeath throughout the album, just kind of sparingly
you
throughout.
get to the end of the first track and you're like that, there's a lot of stuff in here that's going to be like a really heavy, really intense listen, and then by track 2 melody hits and you're like, oh well, all bets are off.
Yeah, totally.
This was my assumption, it's going in the bin now. Here we fucking go.
There's also like there's so many references here I'm going to make, but like there's quite a bit of Killswitch on here, which came through quite a bit more kind of potent on A Rose for Every Stone. Riffs are very kind of early Killswitch. The choice of melody is quite similar. Even the transitions have that kind of like Alive or Just Breathing or kind of End of Heartache kind of era. And I'm all good with that because that's when Killswitch were actually good. So that's fine.
Like at the end of Heartache, we did a kind of check please on that band. And rightly so.
There's also a little bit of kind of older kind of Unearth and on tracks like In the Depths of Grief.
That track has one of those moments where we'd be like, in the last fortnight we've reviewed the brand new Eyes release, which is fucking incredible. But like Eyes, like I mentioned before, like we are in the summer of like kind of weird kind of cat scratchy like noises like that. In the Depths of Grief have a whole fucking section that made me smile from ear to ear, where it was just like, oh yes, just give me that for the whole fucking track. So good, man, so good.
The kind of the chuggy kind of parts were like very like, I was like, oh, this is kind of the Oncoming Storm kind of era of Unearth. I really like that. But then there are parts of this album where the influences are less evident, and Your Spirit Dies give you like this kind of like more personality basically from them, and those moments in the album really excited me because when they kind of push the experimentation a little bit more in the guitar work, or they kind of like pull from different ends of the spectrum. Monochrome being a really good example of that, where you've got this awesome mix of like Melodeath kind of verses mixed with metalcore kind of breakdowns. Then you've got this kind of like atmosphere, which sounded like there was kind of like synths going on in the background. You've got this kind of uplifting kind of lead work that was a little bit kind of Misery Signals kind of esque, or even moments where they completely turn the intensity dial right up, like Ritual Sacrament, for example, where it's just like you've got like 2 minutes of blast beats, these riffs that are just like contorted and kind of spazzed out, and then these huge kind of breakdowns kind of slotted in. And they always make it kind of worth the wait as well. There's always like some sort of reward from this band, which I love. Like they've kind of mastered the art of kind of building up a track and then just leading it into this devastating kind of finish. But weirdly, they never kind of shortchange you on the way there either. Sort of like the closing part of A Snow in Summer is just like utterly colossal. It's kind of like Gojira levels of heavy, but all the stuff that leads up to that is just as awesome. There are very few riffs on this album that didn't like raise a smile from me. Even like right into the kind of the closing track, which has this kind of blackened kind of touch to it as well. So there's lots of really like nice little parts in here that you just don't expect to come on the album. Like as you said, like when you hear the first track, you think you've got them pegged. Like
how many albums have you listened to that are kind of throwback metalcore sounds, where you listen to the first track and you're like that, right? I'm guessing this, and then by the end of it, you're like, I guess right.
Yeah.
This one like continues to weave interesting aspects throughout its entire runtime.
Yeah.
So even like tracks adjacent to each other
Yeah.
are not like they don't kick off the same, they don't close the same, even if they're using similar song structures. The journey to get to that end is completely different for each listen, which is a craft in itself.
Yep.
Like there's not one element, there's not one song in here where I actually kind of went, oh well, that's cliche. You know what I mean? Like even if it is stuff that kind of fits within the tone and vibe that they're going for, it kind of felt like the appropriate thing to do as opposed to the expected thing.
Yeah.
So I really, really like that. I will say, once again, keeping on the penis theme, just because I know, Lisa, this is for you. There was a double take on track number 6, which is called Born Forsaken, which I swear to God, the first time I read it, it was Born Foreskin. And I was like, that is the most fucking disgusting metal name for a song ever. It's Born Forsaken. Not foreskin, right, guys? Just to clear that up for you. Not that I want to mention the word foreskin again, but there you go. That's another one that has one of the most disgusting Gojira breakdowns at the end, and that whole track is the art of the build.
Yeah.
Like all the way through it, you think, all right, here it's getting like that, and it just keeps building up to the point where you almost expect it won't, and then you get a big old heaviest matter in the universe, boom, boom, bada, boom, like kind of ending. Fucking crushing.
Yeah. Plus, on top of all that, you've got like guests kind of scattered.
Really good guests as well. Like I like they brought in 3 guests that don't sound alike.
Yeah.
That deliver different aspects as well, which is smart for a release like this. And also they're like not necessarily fit within the genre they're playing. So kind of either like heavier or lighter or different versions.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really clever.
Yeah, I mean, like Brandon has like a killer tone himself. His voice is utterly savage on this album.
Never lets up for a second.
But like I love Zeo, so like to hear Dan on there was just absolutely killer. He's got an amazing voice. I mean, and like, can you tell me one person right now who's not obsessed with the Callous Dow Boys? I mean,
it's all me, to be honest. At this point, I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but at this point, restraining orders maybe working their way through the legal system to stop me from, I don't know, licking the seat that I've sat
on. And also they're like label mates as well on MNRK.
So they fucking are. Yeah.
So that was cool to hear Carson on the album as well, which. Very clever move. His tone is very distinct. Like you can tell it's him straight away. So that kind of additional clean vocal that you get on Night Pierces My Bones was really cool. A nice kind of tonal change. Also adding a kind of bigger hook in the track as well, which I really liked. So like musically, like technically, the song structures, everything's really interesting here. And it's a very rewarding album. Like there's not a track on here where you don't get a moment you're like, oh fuck yes. Like it's just packed with those moments. However, I just want to mention how good the fucking production is on this album.
It's perfect.
Greg Thomas, like
it's like we are going to become that meme that's used from it's from The Boys, isn't it? It's perfect. That literally all the way through this, I was just like that choice. That drum production, by the way, is fucking 100% 2002. Like 2002 called and said, "Give us our metalcore drum sound back, please." It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Greg is an incredible guitarist. I love the stuff he's done with End. Obviously, he was in Misery Signals for a while as well. I love. But fuck me, the production on this is absolutely killer. That guitar tone, man, holy shit, is like massive weight behind that guitar. But even though like this album can be quite chaotic at times, it never sounds like messy.
No, it's like you can pick out every single nuance and every single string that's hit. Clearly,
there's some of those.
That's kind of what makes me excited. Like you can go chaotic and lose it through muddiness. Everything is so fucking crystal clear on this. It's unbelievable. Yeah,
if you go back to the kind of the early 2000s kind of metalcore era, there's a lot of albums back then that do have that kind of dirtiness to them. A lot of bands that, you know, it's it's not quite as clean as this. This is like a real kind of freshness to it that cuts through the mix. Obviously, having Will Putney master it is.
I mean,
also,
like that's your ace up your sleeve. It is like if you're playing top trumps and you like whatever anyone plays on the table, you can go. Well, I see you with your like Silver Surfer or Galactus, and I play you a Will Putney. They're fucked. You know what I mean? The Will Putney card's coming down, and I mean, like that's just an additional. It's an additional flex on this album.
Yeah, it really is.
Maybe even needless flex, but why not?
Yeah, killer production, really great separation between instrumentation, and a really nice kind of balanced EQ, but it sounds heavy as balls. I really, like my first listen to this, I really enjoyed it. But I'd say on my first listen, I had like moments or tracks where I was like, okay, that's like a standout or a key moment or a kind of movement of the album that I really enjoyed. On my second and third listens to the album, the release grew on me even more as a full album. And I started to appreciate the stuff in between all those kind of like key points of the album. This is really good. Like the jump from the EP in 2022 to this is nuts. Like they have level changed in a big way here. Like so much so that I feel they've kind of catapulted into the same kind of pool as a lot of the kind of the big names of metalcore. And this is album 1. This is like,
that's nuts.
Like, can you imagine like in another 2 years' time what this band will sound like, what the difference will be from now to then? Like, unbelievable. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was really good. What about yourself? Did you enjoy this as much as me, or did your
100%? No, this is like straight away. Like to me, this is like whoever it was at MNRK that was like, I see something in this band. Like, give him a raise. Because this is how you come out swinging on that, on that debut release. Like you mentioned a ton of bands. I would throw Chimera in there as well. And there's little elements of kind of like Impossibility of Reason era Chimera, which. Era Chimera, so what I did. I'm just too gifted. I'm too good for this shit. We tries. Born Foreskin, apparently. Like to me, what I loved about this was just the familiarity juxtaposed against the elements that I just did not expect all the way through it. It's such an engaging and exciting listen, like all the way through. Like this is just like the flow of the album. I talk about that a lot, but I'm an albums guy, but the flow of this album just keeps you interested. There is no resting on laurels in any track here, but there's also a real push to try and capture creativity. We have, on the night that we have recorded this review, talked about another band who are trying to encapsulate a sound which is maybe about 3 or 4 years younger than the sound that this band is trying to encapsulate. And the problem that we had with that was its lack of vision and diversity. I listened to this and it's all over it. Like there are elements here which are like modern touches on a classic, in a way which just makes me appreciate what they're doing. And yes, I can track different elements and different sounds back to things, but not to the point where I feel there's almost a kind of plagiarized version of it. I found it very interesting. Like to me, metalcore will always be a genre which, at this stage and this far in the tooth, there's very few bands that make me interested in that. I've been there, I've lived through it. It was a genre that actually died out a lot quicker for me than a lot of other genres, and that within 2 years I was like, I've had my fill of this. Because I could see the gimmicks coming. It's like when I go and see a horror movie at the cinema and I'm like, that jump scare come in now, and you're the killer. And then an hour later I'm proved to be right. Which Dave sat through a few of those experiences where I'm like, that he's a killer. And then we get to that person's a killer. The beauty of this one is that even when my expectations were met, they were done in a surprising way. So even when I knew where the flow of the song was taking me, what I got at the end of that was something that made me go, right, that's a really interesting touch. That's an interesting spin. The musicianship is fucking top notch across the board. Like The guitar playing, fucking phenomenal. There's really nice juxtaposition between really nasty, dank sounding breakdowns and really, really beautiful cleans. And the playing, vocally, it is blunt force trauma all the way through. The introduction in the melody and the vocals through some of the guests as well really, really works. And like I mentioned before, the fact that they can lean in and grab a little bit of that kind of Scandi sound and mix it in with kind of that more traditional American, like new wave of American heavy metal, which is in here. It just all works, and then underpinned by production as well, which just makes it pop. It's a fucking really satisfying listen. And if you need any more reasons to check this, it's under 40 minutes. 12 tracks, under 40 minutes. These guys deliver like a couple of tracks which are under the 4-minute mark, where had they decided to go on for an extra minute, I would have been cool with that. But actually, the art of saying, right, we've done everything we need to do here, and this song is perfect as is all over this. So their quality control is remarkable for a band so young in their career and with one album now out. And maybe that comes from all the other bands they've been in, but there's a self-assuredness on this one, which is kind of takes me aback a little bit. Had you told me this band had been on the go for 10 years and this was us finally getting around to them,
I mean,
it would make sense to me. But like for a debut album, like you, if what you're saying to me is 2 EPs and then this, I can't quite get my head around that. It just sounds so defined. Like, this is our sound, this is what we do, here it's here, and it all fucking works.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you'd said to me, oh, this band put out an album on fucking Trustkill Records back in 2006, and this is them coming back, I would have been like, yeah, 100%
I totally believe it. Like, 100, I would have been like, yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, really fucking exciting. Like, really, really exciting. I really don't have much more to add on this. Like, I like got to the end of it and was just kind of like that. Every now and again, there's a genre of music that I've kind of had my fill of. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, maybe the sun has set on this.
Yeah.
And let's put it aside. And then there's a band that comes along that kind of injects, like kind of like in Pulp Fiction, where they have to fucking stab the chick with the adrenaline shot, who's Uma Thurman snorted too much bad coke. And this is the adrenaline shot to the heart of someone who's snorted too much metalcore. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is. Like, it is a shot to you that just invigorates your senses straight away and just makes you feel fucking energized from start to finish. This is absolutely fucking great. So yeah, I had a ball with this, man. Absolute ball.
Okay, let's go to the scores, Duncan. I found very little to dislike here, to be honest. I mean, they have some clear influences. That's fairly obvious, but you know, some people might find that this is too familiar because of that. For me, a lot of the influences I kind of grew up on listening to, and I still love to this day. So this felt very easy just to kind of slip into. But then there's a lot of ideas here that sat out with the kind of the obvious way this album was going to kind of play out, and that really excites me. The little extras they added in just excites me to think where they'll take it next on the next one. This also has riffs for days. Like, there's so many fucking good riffs on this album. I probably go pretty high on this one. I think I'm going to go 4.5 on this. I think they have the potential to do something like groundbreaking. I think, especially this being their first album, this is a debut. That's kind of nuts. So yeah, can't wait to hear what they do in the next one. But it's a 4.5 for me. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm with you 100%. Yeah, this is absolutely brilliant. For anyone that is like, I've heard this done before, I quote the movie The Beyond. I say, we, the blind, see things clearly, Dave. And what I'm saying is, we lived through it, we loved it, we've been spoon-fed a lot of stuff that's made us not interested in it anymore, and this band are bringing it back.
Yeah.
One fucking riff at a time is what I'm saying about this. They're bringing metalcore back. Dare I say they're making metalcore great again. I don't know if we can use that. That might be trademark infringement. If it is, I apologise. Don't sue us. We have no money at all. No money.
Not yet. Your Spirit Dies. My Gnawing Pains Will Never Rest. Out on May 2nd on MNRK Heavy. Links to the band are above or below, depending on where you're watching this video.
Somewhere that I can be bothered putting them. Just look for them. They are there.
Yeah. There'll be links to the pre-order. Check out one of the singles. Have a listen, see what you think. Let us know. Let us know your opinion. What are you thinking? That is our review. Thank you for checking out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Tearing ripping into the fibers. The shackles must be shed.